It's finally out. The United States has unveiled its new policy on Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has outlined America's new plans to mount pressure on the Islamic Republic.
We will apply unprecedented financial pressure on the Iranian regime. The leaders in Tehran will have no doubt about our seriousness.
The anti-Iran mechanism is based on vast economic sanctions, even tougher than the ones that the U.S. imposed on Iran over the past decades.
The sting of sanctions will be painful if the regime does not change its course from the unacceptable and unproductive path it has chosen to one that rejoins the League of Nations. These will indeed end up being the strongest sanctions in history when we are complete.
The announcement comes a few weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump pulled America out of a landmark nuclear deal with the country. The U.S. administration now says it will work with its partners to build a coalition against Iran. But experts believe the U.S. will largely find itself isolated in trying to pressure Tehran because other signatories to the nuclear deal have expressed support for it. Besides that, the US is currently at odds with the European Union and China over a number of serious issues, including trade rules.
The United States is going against all its adversaries, China, Russia, Iran, at the same time, in addition to threatening its European allies with trade war and sanctions unless they also fall in line. So, yeah, this is truly a terrible strategy.
Trump's decision to scrap the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action has not only raised tensions with Iran, it has also alienated Europeans, Russia and China. The remaining parties in the nuclear deal with Iran have pledged to keep it alive. The Europeans seem especially serious about their future path. A few days ago, the EU launched a trade defense law to counter US economic sanctions against Iran. The EU's new piece of legislation is called Blocking Statute. It bans European firms from complying with the US sanctions. Top EU officials, including its foreign policy chief Federica Mogherini and President of the European Council Donald Tusk, have reassured Tehran that the European bloc will stand its course in the face of US pressure. But what is the United States really after? By exiting the JCPOA and reimposing sanctions, the administration of Donald Trump says it wants to bring Iranians to the negotiating table to hammer out a new deal. The US says Iran's influence in the region needs to be curbed. Washington also wants Iran's missile program to be halted and dismantled. The White House wants all such issues to be addressed in a more comprehensive deal with the Iranian establishment.
When two large powers have a conflict, they usually map out their legitimate security concerns and look for ways to compromise by alleviating the concern of their adversary as well. However, the security concerns of Iran are never even mentioned. It's always the narrative of good versus evil, and I guess that fundamentalism is why this is so scary.
But how can the world trust the US again after it unilaterally scrapped an international agreement?
For all of this, the United States offers nothing in return in terms of relieving Iran's own security interests or security concerns. So, but even if the US would have offered something, Iran has all the reasons in the world to question whether or not such an agreement would be worth anything, given their history now of pulling out of agreements.
Meanwhile, the United States accuses Tehran of destabilizing the Middle East. Observers say such accusations serve as a pretext to pressure the Islamic Republic into submission. Observers say it's ironic that the United States accuses Iran of destabilizing activities, while the US itself is behind many wars around the world, especially in the Middle East.